Okay, we got a trade. Norm Powell to the Heat, John Collins to the Clippers, bunch of stuff to the Jazz. Specifically, Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a second-round pick. Is this the end of Kevin Love's career? After playing 23 games last year, I could see Kyle Anderson sticking around on Utah. Okay, so for the Clippers, I think this means that they've got a wink-wink from somebody. I can only go off of the reporting, which it all says that the Suns are planning a huge buyout for Bradley Beal. If it doesn't happen, then don't listen to me, but again, I'm just going off of what the rumors say. Yeah, he's overpaid and wasn't the right guy in Phoenix, but Beal is still good. But we'll get to that when it happens, if it happens. But I think there's still enough to talk about here for this trade just on its own. And I would like to start with Miami. So, getting Norm for Kyle Anderson and Kevin Love just feels like a hell of a move. Norm is now on a one-year deal. I mean, both of these guys are. And Miami is paying Bam, Wiggins, and Hero until 2027. I mean, Bam's contract goes farther than that. And those guys combined for a little under $100 million right now, and it eventually will be over $100 million. Sure, the cap is going up, but I'll just say, I do not know what Miami's going to look like in 3 years. But for what they gave up, how he can help them on the court right now, and also how other teams could view him if we get to the deadline or whatever, yeah, I get it. Duncan Robinson is gone. Norm actually shot better from three this year than Duncan. Duncan's three-point rate was a little higher, but he played less minutes, if you want to care. And yeah, Duncan did make progress with working off the dribble, being a little bit more of a passer. But Norm, as far as attacking off the catch, driving, finishing, just a totally different player. You're not going to have him run your offense or anything close to that. And that is still the biggest question with Miami to me. And you can already imagine Powell running DHOs with Bam. You can imagine Spo putting Powell in just any sort of off-ball screen. Like, Powell doesn't need much to attack. I mean, you can, in a way, put him in a lot of the similar sets that you would put Duncan Robinson in. So if there's an opening to attack, he'll get downhill and finish. Now, comparing it to the Clippers, there is nobody on this Miami team that is as good of a passer as Harden. The lineup of Davion, Hero, Wiggins, Bam, and Khalil Ware, they had an offensive rating of 112.5 in like 120 minutes, which is not a whole lot. But, I mean, yeah, that would be the equivalent of like 20-something in the league. And this doesn't change that they still need the high-end creator. But it's a step in the right direction. If they want to keep on committing to the Bam, Khalil Ware frontcourt, then at that point, if you want to maximize Powell's minutes, you're looking at like Davion to lose some minutes. And that's definitely a defensive drop-off going from Davion to Norm. But the offensive upside is much bigger. Even if like between Hero, Bam, Wiggins, and Powell, like, yeah, there's definitely like high-end playmaking that's missing there. But still, Norm gets buckets, and that's cool. And they got him for not much. Now, I guess the cynical take to this could be, well, Norm and Hero just aren't going to play off of each other that much. And also, defensively, it's going to create obstacles for them to deal with, let's say. But like, they've already been dealing with this with Duncan Robinson. And also, I feel like if you just have Bam and Spo, they'll figure it out. And now they got Wiggins on the ball. They got Davion for the lineups when he's in there. And also, for the season, the Bam Khalil Ware frontcourt had a defensive rating of 108. That's really good. If you want to go post-All-Star, it is a noticeably worse. But even so, the length next to Bam, I think there's a lot there. Yeah, Khalil Ware still needs to make progress, but every young big does. I think defensively they'll get there again. I mean, they were like 9th in defensive rating this past season with all the Jimmy chaos. So it's cool. As far as John Collins and the Clippers, where, again, I think Bradley Beal is the next part of this for them. Collins on a one-year deal, we'll see. The Clippers do not have a lot of long-term money committed, so do with that whatever you will. First off, having another forward who's actually taller than Kawhi, this now gives them, I believe, 2 between him and Nick Batum, which means Kawhi hopefully doesn't have to do as much dirty work for these guys as he gets older and keeps trying to preserve his lower body. And also, a player type that they didn't really have. Someone besides Zoo who can screen for Harden and be a threat to score inside. And also a little bit of pick and pops. You know, Collins, his three-point percentages have been good ever since he overcame like that finger injury from a couple years ago. Still doesn't take a whole lot. You can try him like being a backdoor cut guy as Harden runs screens with Zoo. You can put him in the dunker spot as Kawhi is trying to take his guy ISO. I mean, Kawhi Collins screens might not be as big of a thing just because I think it'd be pretty easy for defenses to switch that. And I do think there will be teams who could also switch the Harden Collins stuff. But just having that extra release valve as a finisher or a cutter around the basket, like that is pretty nice. Now, can make threes, not a big-time shooter, but can still make you pay if you leave him open because he can attack. Negative assist-to-turnover ratio. Has had stretches of his career where the lineups are just kind of awkward because he wants to score inside, but he's not a center. But, I mean, the him and Walker Kessler minutes were actually much more successful this past year for the Jazz. And when that lineup didn't work 2 years ago, some of that was because Kessler just didn't have as good of a year. I could also picture him playing with Brook as well. I mean, if Brook has still got some gas left in the tank coming off the bench for these guys, him standing at the three-point line, Collins operating around the basket, that makes sense. And then defensively, I would expect them to still be awesome on that side of the floor. Like, Zoo was just such a great defensive big this past year for him. I think Brook off the bench, if he, again, still has something left, he could be a rim protector that works next to Collins. Derek Jones, Chris Dunn, Batum, Kawhi. They made it work with Norm. They'll make it work with Collins. Yeah, we're still going to do a season of how healthy is Kawhi. So yeah, cool stuff, man. I think that's about all I got.